Hey everybody, I'm Ellen and I want to walk you through my bullet journal and how I use it. I hope you enjoyed reading the blog post. If you haven't checked it out, I'm going to link it in the description of this video. But I really just wanted to give you a nice glimpse into how I use my bullet journal. I have really strong opinions about bullet journals. I find that I spend a lot of time on Pinterest and I find that all of the, bullet journals for beginners kind of stuff is frankly BS in my opinion, because so much of it are these elaborate layouts and elaborate designs that take so much time and effort. And for somebody who's new to bullet journaling, that is incredibly overwhelming. I remember the first time I tried to do bullet journaling, I went on Pinterest and immediately was just like, I just can't do this. Like, it was all of the different layouts and all of the, incredible effort that people put into their layouts. Like, it's impressive and it's unbelievably photogenic, and I envy them on some levels, but on other levels I'm like, that's not practical and that's not realistic for my life. So when I finally started bullet journaling, which was in April of this year, when I was traveling with Remote Year and I was in Medellin, when I finally started doing it, I really wanted to keep it simple. And what I've realized over the last couple months of doing it is, bullet journaling is a system that is probably the best planning system I've ever found for me, but also it's a planning system that can be incredibly simple and incredibly effective, and as well as customizable, while still having that aesthetically pleasing look that so many people are, going for when they're looking at those Pinterest layouts. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through some of how I use my bullet journal, but most importantly, I'm going to walk you through what I think are the most important pieces for beginners in this video. So this is bullet journaling for beginners, simple, relatively minimalistic, but really just focusing on how to start and the most important pieces for starting. You'll notice that my layouts are very simple. I only do certain little embellishments to make it, a little bit prettier, but for the most part, I'm talking simple and effective and how to get started. All right, so here we've got my bullet journal. I want to first talk you through the materials. I have a standard Moleskine notebook that I got at an art store in Medellin, Colombia when I was traveling. The other important part for me is the type of pen I use. I'm a big fan of these Friction, they're from Pilot, these Friction clicker pens. What I like about them is they're the only erasable pens that I've ever found that actually fully erase. And as you can see there, they erase by friction. And they're incredible. I really, really enjoy these pens. I've gotten many people hooked on them. So these are the pens I use. And then with that, let's get started here. Step one with a bullet journal is to number your pages. So if you're using a Lecterm notebook, these pages will already be numbered. But for anybody that's usually using a Moleskine notebook or a Moleskine notebook, you'll have to go through and number your pages. So that's step one. And the reason why this is important is for your table of contents and your ability to then note where some of these different aspects of your bullet journal will land within your notebook. So step one is to number the pages, and then step two is to do a table of contents. So in my blog post, I've linked some different Pinterest table of contents layout ideas, but again, I like to keep it simple. I have like a cute little header at the top, but other than that, it's just me writing what is in there and what page it's on. So I want you to kind of ignore these collections for a moment, and really what we're going to start with is setting goals and working from the calendar. But that's step one, is to number your pages, and then step two is to start your table of contents. So this will become important. For the more collections you put in here, the more important this table of contents becomes. But if you're just using your bullet journal as a calendar or a planner, it's pretty straightforward, and the table of contents is less important. But leaving the first couple pages for that table of contents gives you the flexibility to add things later. So that's a really important step. The next step that I find really important is the goal setting step. I always start with this whenever I'm planning. And the reason why I find this to be important is because when you're planning, it's important to know what kind of things you're planning for and what goals you're working for. So I have a goal setting page, and then this is something that I actually forgot to add, but that I think I have found to be really important that you add is, people call this a future log, but basically what I use this for is it's kind of a way to take my yearly goals that I just showed you and kind of break them down over the course of the month. So if I want to achieve some of these goals, what does that mean in terms of my monthly activities? So I have stuff related to my launch in here, so getting promotional partners,
I have stuff related to writing my book in here when I want to have my outline done for my book. I have stuff related to different focuses for the different months in here. But all of my goals, I take them from yearly, which you saw at the beginning, to what that means I need to get done each month. Then this becomes important when we start to get into the actual planning stages. So again, we have step 1 is number your pages. Step 2 is do your table of contents. And then I find step 3 is really important for setting your goals and setting your yearly goals and then breaking out those goals into what that means you need to get done each month. So after you have that, then we start to get into the planning stages. So let's take a peek at how I plan here. Let's go to June since that's the current month. Flip, flip, flip. So here we have June. So this is what my monthly layout looks like. It's very, very simple. And the reason why is my goal for my monthly layout is to just get a broad overview of the month. Yeah, I have my little monthly calendar here, but the most important 2 pieces are this section here and my goals. So this section is basically just a list of the days of the month. And what I like to include here are some of the big things that are coming up, some of the big things that I need to remember, some of the events that I need to remember, birthdays. My grandma's birthday was on the 5th. So all of the different things that are big picture, big events, big things that I need to make sure I remember are written into this date list. Then I have my goals. So in reference to, I just showed you my future log of kind of how I break up my yearly goals into the different months. When I then get to my monthly spread in my planner, I rewrite a lot of these goals and I really break them out a lot further. So some of these goals are pertaining to personal development. So completing the Growth Summit, completing this Secrets of the Top 2% training. I also have business related goals in here, but I rehash all of my goals on my monthly spread. Then we get into the weekly spread. So the weekly spread, similar to the monthly spread, is a nice broad overview of what's coming up in the month for me, in the week for me. So I indicate which week we're in, and then I look at a broad overview of the week of what different appointments and stuff I have coming up. And I write those as schedules and appointments into my weekly view. Then I have my weekly goals. So this is important because, as I mentioned, I have my monthly goals over here. Then to keep me moving forward and on track in terms of achieving my monthly goals, I then break them out to what does this mean I need to do each week. If I want to get 10 more interviews this month, that means I need to schedule 2 this week, 2 to 3. If I want to complete this growth, this personal growth related seminar, then I need to at least watch module whatever this week. So I break out my monthly goals into what that means each week of each month. And you'll see that I do this every week. I have very, very similar categories in my weekly goals for every week. Oops. I guess this is the week that we're current. Yeah, I have very similar goals every single week, but it's how I'm moving the needle forward is by breaking my monthly goals into weekly goals. I also, which is another thing that's really important for me for keeping track and staying on top of my habits, is I have a habit tracker here. So it has every day of the week here at the top, and then it has the different habits I want to keep track of here on this side. So this part right here is my miracle morning, and then these are some of the other things that I want to make sure I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I want to make sure I'm waking up at 6, which I did a terrible job of this week. I want to make sure I'm budgeting once a week. I want to make sure I'm drinking enough water. I want to make sure I'm doing a video for my Growth Tribe Facebook community. I want to make sure I'm stretching 3 times a week, which I didn't do this week. So it's doesn't always mean that I'm perfect in filling out this habit tracker, but it keeps these habits at the forefront of my mind so that I'm not forgetting about them. So that is my weekly view in my planner. Again, very, very simple. And then as you can see here, I'm mostly just using black pen, but I give myself some fun little pops of color. In my June title, here we're gonna get close to this. I have a fun little title here with a little pop of color. In my weekly view, I have, just little pops of color all over the place to make it feel aesthetically pleasing, but without doing these insanely elaborate decorative features that so many people do with bullet journals. Like, I don't roll that way. Like, I envy those people. I think those things are beautiful, but that's just too labor intensive for me. So this allows me to make it functional, make it effective, but still with little pops of color that make it feel aesthetically really pleasing. And this, like, you might look at this layout and be like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. This did not take me long to do. What I tend to do is I tend to put on a movie and then I just kind of sit here and do these layouts for multiple weeks so that I can just use the planner. Okay. So now we're getting into the day view. So the day view, this is the day view that I've been using for the last couple months. You can see if you look later in my planner, I'm starting to mix up. Here, let's see if we can get here. I'm going to start testing out some different layouts as we get later in my bullet journal. But up until that time, this is the layout I've been using. This is what my daily layout looks like. And basically what this is a version of Brenda Burchard's one-page productivity planner, but done in a planner, so it's a little bit more functional for me. I never feel good about, just using a like full 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper to do this every single day. So having this structured in my bullet journal really, really works for me. So each day, at the top of each day, I have my priorities for the day. I try to keep it to anywhere from 3 to 5, but hopefully around 3 priorities. As you can see here, my grandma's birthday was on the 5th, so one of my priorities was to reach out to her. These are things that it's absolutely mandatory that I get done that day, and if I don't, then it's going to cause a lot of problems. So I'm very strict about the things that I include in my priorities. So here, biz class, we have a bi-weekly business-related class that we're running in our remote year community. I have my high performance coaching on Tuesday, so I needed to make sure I did the homework assignment on Monday. I had a bunch of edits that were due this day. I was meeting with my business coach, so I needed to do the stuff before our meeting so that I was, moving forward with her. The next category is the people that I need to. This is actually 2 things combined. It's both the people that I'm waiting to hear from and the people that I need to reach out to. And I write those names and kind of what I need to reach out to them about in this category. Then I write my gratitudes. And that's just, it's a couple statements to just put me in the right headspace of gratitude and thankfulness for what I have in my life. Then the section at the bottom is more my tasks and my appointments. So these are the specific appointments that I have. These are my, specific edits that I have due for my science editing. For Tuesday, I had my charged life coaching, my business coach. We did a photo shoot that day. I was supposed to talk on the phone with my friend that night. So these are just some of the different tasks that I have for the day. And they're not necessarily priorities per se, but they are things that are important for me to remember. I'll also you can see I have a lot more tasks this week. This is my current week. I needed to call Best Buy. I'm working on my bullet journal blog post. I needed to schedule blog posts. I have a meeting with a friend this afternoon. I'm making this video right now. Like, sometimes the tasks are a lot more elaborate, but in this particular week, I didn't have a ton of tasks. So additionally, because I'm on remote year, I also have kind of given myself this little memories spot here, which is kind of just for me, kind of an addition to the gratitudes, just a place for me to write my favorite memory from that day. Then at the very, very bottom of my day view, I do a little bit of planning. So these are kind of more business related things. This is what I'm going to post on Instagram, and then this is the what video I'm going to do in my Growth Tribe Facebook community. So this week in particular, I was doing videos related to how I use my bullet journal. Nice, huh? It's kind of nice that this is the spread I'm using to do this walkthrough. But so I did some planning in this bottom section. And then as you can see, I also schedule my workouts. So I'm doing the Hammer and Chisel Beachbody program right now. So then this is what video I need to do each day to stay on top of that workout. I also have my runs scheduled for my half marathon training. And then last but not least, I keep track of my water intake on the bottom here, because it's really important to me, especially with how much walking and activity I'm doing, to make sure I'm keeping track of my water. I'm terrible about keeping track of it on the weekends, but it's still there, which is nice because I'm at least cognizant of it.
So that's how I use my bullet journal. It's pretty straightforward. I really only wanted to walk you guys through some of the layouts that I use and not really get into the collections, because I feel if you're a beginner, this is the most straightforward place to start. Start with setting your goals and then start with planning. And again, keep it simple in your layouts, keep it simple in your decor, and then as you get more used to the system, then start getting more elaborate with the washi tape and the different designs that people do. But really, keep it simple to start with. That is my biggest tip for you. Start with goals, start with planning, and then just keep it simple. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any other questions about, perhaps you want to know more about the collections I use, A, definitely check out my blog post, and B, just drop some comments below and I'd be happy to answer those questions for you. Everybody have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.